Hello and welcome. Welcome to a nice sunny evening in New York. Today we're going to be talking about Thomas Paine's Common Sense and Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. Compare and contrast them. They both argue the American colonists had become a distinct people and therefore deserved to form an independent nation. Although Paine and Jefferson wrote for different purposes, both authors maintained that continued dependence on Great Britain was unnatural, unjust, and harmful. Paine attempted to persuade ordinary colonists to support independence, while Jefferson formally explained and justified the independence to both the American people and the international community. The first major point Paine makes in Common Sense is the hereditary monarchy is irrational. Paine argues that no family should possess a permanent right to rule other people simply because of birth. He attacks both monarchy and hereditary succession, presenting them as violations of the natural equality. If Americans were fundamentally equal human beings, there was no logical reason for them to remain subjects of a distant king. Jefferson makes a similar argument in the Declaration, but he expresses it through the language of natural rights. His first major point is that all men are created equal and possess rights that governments cannot legitimately take away. These include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like Paine, Jefferson rejects the idea that kings naturally possess authority over others. However, Jefferson's language is more formal and philosophical, while Paine's language is direct, emotional, and designed to reach a broad audience. Paine's second point is that America's connection to Britain had become destructive rather than beneficial. Supporters of reconciliation often argued that Britain had protected and supported the colonies. Paine responded that Britain acted primarily in its own interests. He argues that British involvement dragged America into European conflicts and damaged American trade. America, in Paine's view, had different economic and political interests in Britain. This separation of interest was evidence that Americans were becoming a new nationality. Jefferson's second point also emphasizes the harmful actions of Great Britain. Rather than discussing trade and European allies in general terms, Jefferson provides a long list of grievances against King George III. He accuses the king of interfering with colonial legislatures, obstructing justice, maintaining standing armies, and imposing taxes without consent and waging war against his own subjects. Jefferson uses these accusations to demonstrate that the British government had broken its obligations to the colonists. Third major point Paine makes is that independence was practical and achievable. He believed that the colonies possessed the population, resources, and commercial potential necessary to survive as an independent country. He also argued that the moment for independence had arrived. Delaying would only make the conflict more difficult and allow Britain to continue dominating American life. Jefferson's third point is that the people possess the right to replace the government that repeatedly violates their rights. Government receives its authority from the consent of the governed. When a government becomes destructive, the people may alter or abolish or establish a new one. Jefferson therefore presents independence not merely as a practical decision, but as a morally and politically legitimate response to tyranny. Overall, Paine and Jefferson arrive at the same conclusions through different approaches. Paine uses accessible arguments about monarchy, economic interests, geography, and political opportunity. Jefferson uses natural rights philosophy, specific grievances, and the principle of popular sovereignty. Paine helped convince Americans that they were capable of becoming a separate nation. Jefferson officially declared that they had already possessed the right to do so. Together, their writings transformed independence from a radical possibility into a defining purpose of the American Revolution. And goodbye.